Hey, what's up? I'm Bradley Fish, and this is actually for my student. You know who you are. You will remain anonymous. And he couldn't make his lesson today, and he's got a jam session here later tonight. And I wanted to give him 8 tips to improve his jamming with a band or in a live session. We did a live recording session last week with one of my guitar students who sings and writes and plays guitar. And our hero here is, he's a lot newer. He's playing bass. It's new for him. Bless his heart, he's driving in almost 2 hours from another state for these lessons. I wanted to give him something of value because he couldn't come. And we got another session, and I wanted to, because it's a whole different thing. It's one thing to know music and notes and all that. Another thing to know kind of how to act, what to do, how to groove in a session. So here's 8 tips to improve your jamming in a band or live session playing, kind of like a rock band. All right. The first thing, which actually you nailed last time, and I thought that was awesome, and I made sure of it, pat on the back teacher, was you knew your material. That was great. Sometimes you won't have a chance. Like tonight, you're going to come in, you don't know what we're going to play. I don't know what we're going to play. My other student's going to pick something. So you're going to be on your own, dude. Of course, I'll help you. But because you did know, that's awesome. And I've messed that up before. I mean, I could go on stories like, when I was living overseas, I got to play with a guy who, I didn't know who he was, but he had a bunch of hits in that small country. People out there really knew him. He was part of the fabric of society from all the airplane stuff. And I kind of figured out, I kind of gathered who he was, and I was just busy. It was kind of last minute, and I didn't do my homework, and it wasn't easy to do the homework. I would have had to ask around, be like, what should I learn? What were his hits? I didn't really speak the language that well. And then sit down and learn them. And when I got there, the songs they weren't that complicated, but they were quirky enough, just enough, that you kind of had to know how they went. You couldn't just wing it. It wasn't just like 4 repeating chords over and over or something. And so had I done a little homework and been like, I learned a couple of your, popular tunes or whatever, that would have made things go hugely better. I probably would have got a call back. So that's when I've screwed up before. Anyway, you nailed that, so good on you. The other thing, which you could have done better with, and I'm going to encourage everyone to do, fundamentals prepared. So for instance, the tune that we did last time, it was in A. You knew like A minor pentatonic, you could just rock out with that. And you definitely had, a pattern really nailed for that. But why not, especially on the bass where it's kind of quick and easy, why not have all 5 of those patterns just nailed? And especially like if you had done, your open pattern where you could get an open low E string, and you could have been hitting some lower notes so it would sound really cool, down into the A. Maybe you, during some of the like jamming, you could have been doing some higher stuff up your neck. Not to show off, not to be like, oh, I know all these patterns, but just to have them at your fingertips. So if you need them, if you want to express yourself a little, you can do it. So really have your fundamentals prepared. Now again, if you don't know what you're playing, you need to have your fundamentals covered. That's a bigger job. But if you know what's coming, you can be like, oh, I just need to bone up on this one scale or whatever. Okay, awesome. Another thing which I'm going to say you did pretty good on, but you could even do a little better. Bring your gear. So you had your bass, that was cool. I think you had your tuner or whatever. But if you got a few pedals that sound cool, bring them. They don't really, it doesn't take up any room. And you always want to make sure too that you have your backups. You got your strings, you got your batteries. And I didn't even include this as a tip, but of course, arrive on time or early, whatever. I mean, you guys are fine with that, but just in general for people, be relaxed, show up. Okay, great. Now here's a big one. You really want to listen. It's all about listening and feeling the music, listening, the dynamics, like the volume, get quieter sometimes when the vocals come in, depending on the style of music. You can build up during a solo. Listen to the soloist. If he gets quiet, you get quiet, that kind of stuff. So really be tuned into that and just be in the moment as you do it. Just be listening, be chill, don't be in your head, okay? And for bass players, and drummers, like rhythm section guys, well, bass players and drummers, you got to keep some eye contact. So I kind of gave you a hard time about that in our last session. I was like, hey, over here, I'm the drummer. I get to play drums on TV and during my student recording sessions. So, like, if I'm playing drums and you're the bass player, we have to be dancing. My, kick, snare is a lot of times, you're low, high, or whatever on your bass. So you want to be, dialed in with me. You don't want to be just, spacing off. Of course, you do want to look at the band leader, which in this case was our singer-guitar player. So keep an eye on the band leader, look for those cues. If you are the band leader, if it's your tune, if you're singing, you want to really cue the band. So you want to do big guitar, exaggerate a little bit your cues, hit the guitar. I'll put my coffee down. Hit the guitar, be like, whatever. Show us where the ending is. Show us where you're coming into the solo or you're getting out of the solo. Show us. And that'll help, especially in a situation where it's not a regular band, where it's a one-off recording. Cool. Okay. Now, groove. And this is something you're going to develop over a long time. This isn't going to happen overnight. One of the things I kind of mentioned in between takes, I was like, hey, leave some space. The guitar player our bass player gave our hero here this like fuzz distortion pedal for the bass. I don't really love the sound of that for this particular tune. I don't know if it's a great aesthetic choice, but whatever, it's cool. It is what it is. Maybe I'll change my mind. Bottom line, it was just like this huge wall of sound all the time. And I said, hey, play simple, leave space. And I don't think it really registered until about halfway through the second take. And suddenly you were like, oh yeah, let me get out of my head and go simple. And then it was like, boom. Ba-da-dum-dum, whatever, space, boom. And suddenly it was like, I kind of saw this light bulb go off in your head where you're like, oh, I'm grooving. Like, aha, this feels cool. Instead of just always constant noise, constant sound coming out. As soon as you left the space, there was like a dance happening. It was like, and I think you got that just intuitively and viscerally. So that's really important. And the way you can get really good at this is learn African drumming, learn Latin drumming, anything with parts like that. So, you learn the drum set, just learn beats, if you're doing, think of African, you're like, get, ga, space, dum, da, get, ga. Another part's like get, and they're going together. Get, ga. Dum, da. You learn these like different rhythms that fit together. You're gonna start grooving more when you play your instrument, your bass, your guitar, whatever, your drums. And you can be asking yourself, did I really need that note, that little fancy extra note? Was that actually helping move this dialogue along, or am I just kind of showing off, or blah 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 blah? So groove, play simple, feel it. Another thing, you want to be, and I think you want to be completely open to feedback. And I know you kind of looked, I think you gave me a look when our band leader, guitar singer guy, he said to me, I came in on the drums, and he's like, no, I don't want like a John Bonham heavy thing. I want more like a, whatever. And I realized what he really meant was he wanted me to play double time or not half time, whatever. And so I'm just like, cool. And you kind of looked at me like, are you going to take that? It's like, yeah, I am actually. That's good feedback, and that's what I'm going to do. And like, so you want to, like, just whatever people say, take it into consideration. For sure, it's not a bad idea if you're the band leader or you're the guy giving feedback. Be as tactful as you can. That could be a good skill to work on, so keep all your band members happy, you're not pissing people off. But bottom line, have a little bit of a thick skin and just be like, yeah, cool, let me try that. Let's see. Oh, and also you can listen back to recordings between takes if you have that opportunity, and that can be a good chance to just get your own critique. You want to be kind of quietly confident, I would say. This is actually what inspired this video. I think we were, in between takes, you were like, oh yeah, I went to that A note up high instead of low, and you started doing this big analysis of what you were playing, and I saw the guitar player kind of look at you like, yeah, whatever, dude. and like, actually, if you turned it around, if he had said to you, like, oh, I played that one lick during my 87-minute solo where I went high instead of low, you would have been like, oh, I didn't notice, cool, whatever. Like, so don't get too nerdy about it. I understand that in a private lesson we might be building a walking bass line, and we're like, oh, you could go here instead of there, and we're really analyzing. But once it's time to jam, chill out, relax, have fun. Imagine on the drums, it's almost the same because you got pentatonic scale on the bass with 5 notes. Imagine if my 5 drums, I was like, oh, instead of going do, I went do. You'd be like, I didn't notice, man. I just, as long as the rhythm's there, as long as you're grooving, that's cool. So yeah, don't get too like in your head about it. And it is great to ask, like, hey, did you want that on the 2 right there? Or, was that cool? You good? Okay. But yeah, just play your part. And bottom line, this is my bonus tip. This is number 9. I would say have fun. It's music. And it's live music. We're not programming stuff. It's not synth programming here. That's a whole other thing. It's not going to be perfect. Although in the editing, we can often fix a lot and perfect things. So just relax, have fun, jam out. Life's short. If you want to play music, have a great time while you do it. And actually, that better energy that you have because you're just having a good time, you're relaxing. Yeah, you're keeping all these tips in mind, but you're just having a good time. You'll get better energy and better chemistry. And it's hard to quantify that stuff, but people kind of just know it. You know when you have good energy with people and good, if your band has chemistry. So by just being in a good headspace, being in the moment, you're listening, you're relaxed, you're grooving, your fundamentals, so you're not thinking, oh wait, do I have to go to this fret? You just know it, your fingers know it, it's finger memory at this point. All that stuff, your equipment's working, everything's good, you're grooving, you've got some practice grooving, you've been learning parts, you're prepared. Now, just have a great time and just enjoy the jam and just hang, and it'll go awesome for you. And those are things that you can bring to all your jam sessions. All right, drive safe, have a blast. I hope that helps some other people out in YouTube land, and we'll talk to you later.